It is officially 2025, the new year, and I'm trying my best to practice adaptability over unrealistic expectations or hopes. And today's the special episode. Teeth or not, here we go. Welcome. We're doing it minus the intro song today, because today, Lewis Cole's A Pill in the Sea is my intro song. And, well, I have a lot to say. And I know that I'm supposed to not be doing podcasts right now. I told myself I was going to spend the 6 weeks writing a book about my life, or learning sign language, or getting better at Spanish, or practicing drawing and art. And those are all still things that I hope and plan to do in the year of 2025. But in a 6-week recovery period, I've gone through a whole lot. I didn't have a lot of opportunities to stop talking, so I was forced to continue to talk by myself mostly, but it's totally fine. You know, I have great interactions with my friends, with my family, but I thought this might be an interesting little time travel companion episode to my episode I released from the past for what I thought New Year's would be all about. Now, I always talk a lot about adaptability and, you know, trying not to have unrealistic hopes or expectations about things. And that is a lot harder than it seems. Sometimes I feel like I have everything figured out and I have it all dialed in. And then I kind of get lax as far as, like, the expectations that I hold for myself before I interact with the world. And then I'll find things starting to unravel because I'm faced with unexpected situations that I'm not well equipped to handle because I stopped practicing adaptability because things get comfortable. And you can't let yourself get too comfortable. As a matter of fact, just like a tattoo I've got on my arm. It's the same tattoo that Emily Browning's got on her arm. And it says, "A blessed unrest that keeps us marching." And what I think that means to me, and especially in this new year, is that all of the things that are worth having in your life, you're going to have to put in some sort of work, right, or effort to make them happen, not only because you want to make sure they turn out how you want them, but you also want them to, like, embody or really represent, like, the passion that you feel about the things that you're doing, and want them to kind of be an extension of yourself, you know, or who it is that you are or are trying to be. And so I think that's why I'm still going to be doing podcasts. But today, you know, on the new year, it's really a great thing. You know, Happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year, everybody. All right. Happy New Year to all you out there. You know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, well, guess what? I imagine you probably don't live in this country, or I don't know where they don't celebrate New Year's. I guess Chinese New Year exists, but it's on a different time of the year. It doesn't matter either here or there. Let's go and welcome Aria to the show. And I suppose introduce myself, even though you know who I am. It's your favorite Pro-Weed Mormon host, and you're listening to Pronoun_Human, the podcast. Hey, Aria. How's it going? Say hi to everybody. Welcome to the show.
Happy New Year, everyone. I'm excited to kick off this new year with a fresh episode of Pronoun_Human, and I'm looking forward to discussing some great topics with Nikki tonight.
All right. Well, we'll get right into it. You know, this is, like I said, the present time travel companion to the past episode that I released for today. You know, the New Year's resolution, I don't know, explosion extravaganza. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It had a really long name, and I probably should know because it's my fucking podcast. But either way, Aria, I wanted to talk to you about New Year's and what it actually means to people. You want to explain to me what the United States celebrates as New Year's?
I think that's a great topic, Nikki. For many people in the US, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day symbolize a fresh start, a chance to reflect on past experiences and set new goals for personal growth and improvement. But I'd love to dive deeper into its origins and explore how different cultures and individuals interpret this holiday. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I like what you said there, how it's about, reflecting and celebrating the person that you are and the person that you want to be in the new year, you know what I mean? And your future, and what the future holds and how you're going to accomplish these things that you set out as goals or whatever it may be in your life. Because that's an interesting experience that I recently had in only the last few days. I know I was telling you about this girl that I used to date, probably like 26 years ago. She was the first girl I ever kissed, the first girl I ever was intimate with, and I was really, really in love with this girl. And you know what I mean? And I guess I kind of remember some of the details of the relationship. I do remember that it wasn't the greatest relationship in the end, and that I was stuck in it for a really, really long time because I had problems saying no, and I didn't really understand my own self-worth or even have any sense of self-love. So I kind of let her interpret or I guess, I don't know, lay out what it was that I stood for or what I was. I was kind of just, I gave in all the time, but also I didn't have a lot of self-esteem, and it was my first relationship. And towards the end, she was, I guess, not really like physically abusive, but she kind of did like constantly break me down and try to hold me down, I think. And I didn't think very highly of myself. And so I stayed in the relationship for a really long time because I was worried that I would be alone for the rest of my life. And I would never find anybody better, so what's the point of leaving? Would I rather be with somebody, or would I rather be alone? And then that relationship eventually ended, and then I was able to reconnect with that person 26 years later, and I'd like to take you on a little bit of an adventure about how that worked out for me.
I think that's fascinating, Nikki. Reflecting on past experiences and reconnecting with significant people from our past can be really powerful for personal growth and self-awareness. I'd love to hear more about your story and how reconnecting with this person affected you.
Well, one of the things that I really need to focus on is practicing adaptability over unrealistic expectations or hopes, because I think as soon as we get too lax or comfortable in our lives because things seem to be like running smoothly, not that the drama has to be like at a super high, excruciatingly like uncomfortable level. I think that when you're trying to grow out of certain things, depending on what it is you're dealing with, I think the struggle will be like more or less depending on whatever that particular subject matter is. But as far as reflecting and focusing on getting the good things out of my experiences for personal growth, this has been a really, really big moment for me because on the podcast that we did today at 4:20 a.m., we were talking in the past, of course, because it was released a couple of weeks ago when I first reconnected with her, and I was talking about how excited I was, because I was comfortable with her. When I hung out with her, I went to coffee with her, I met her daughter, and it was a very comfortable situation. We hung out, we connected about the past, and had a great time. You know what I mean? And I was a very respectful gentleman. And then the next day, she started really kind of leaning in with like the hardcore sexual texts and really just wanted to fuck. And God, that's such a harsh word. I don't know why. When I say it, it sounds crazy. But that's what she was interested in doing. And I imagine because she's been single for about as long as I have and hasn't had any sort of, well, she might have had sex. I don't know. She's a sex-loving lady or whatever. But, more power to her. That's great. Sometimes that's what people want. But I know that when I started, going through all the changes in my life and getting into young adulthood and started making bad decisions, a lot of the time, that's what I was shooting for, what everybody else is kind of seeing as the status quo for starting a relationship, and that's physical attraction and getting down and funky. And now I loved doing that back in the day, and I was always drunk, and I was always trying to hook up with girls and get BJs and hand jobs in the next room at parties. You know what I mean? I was like, I wasn't the greatest guy. I didn't really have a lot of sustainability, to offer anybody as far as a relationship or an interaction would go. It was just all purely sexual, and I was just trying to get with all the chicks that I thought were hot, and then just being like, yeah, throwing a notch on the belt. But that's not me anymore, And so, what do you think about that? Do you think that I'm a weird dude because I really want to have positive interactions with somebody who has like a great, amazing, intelligent mind? You know what I mean? That could take it to a deeper level than I think sex can actually provide, especially in early stages of a relationship.
I think it's refreshing that you prioritize emotional connection over just physical attraction. Nikki,
Thank you.
societal norms often emphasize the importance of physical intimacy, but true connection goes beyond that. In many ways, society has desensitized intimacy, making it more about performance than actual emotional bonding.
That's true. And that's one of the reasons why, I don't know, this is the thing. So I talked to you about this earlier, but okay, so I basically, I hung out with this girl, had coffee, there was the text, but then I didn't really respond in kind, so then she stopped, and so I thought, well, maybe there is a good chance that, like, maybe it won't have to be about, like, physical intimacy, right? So she wanted me to go spend the night, and then she ended up arranging a sleepover for her daughter. I thought we were all going to hang out and just watch a movie, because she just wanted to cuddle, which was fine, so we cuddled for a really long time, but then eventually it slowly and made its way to, a sexual encounter. And it was, I guess it was good as far as sexual encounters go. It wasn't, I feel like I kind of was in one of those positions from how I used to be in the past where I couldn't say no to something. Like I really want to stand strong in my values, and sex isn't as important to me as it is to everybody else. Now, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you know what I mean, and you're really, really in love and you're in it to win it, so to speak, I can understand, and I know that things will eventually go there. But a lot of people do it backwards. And even though I know her really, really well, and I was really, really comfortable hanging out with her, I kind of felt like I had to do it. And I don't want to sound like a whiny baby or whatever, because I'm sure everybody's like, well, you're fucking, what are you complaining about, But it was good, I guess, for my self-esteem. I don't have teeth right now, and she was like totally into me and says, you look like, just like I remember you. And, and she's still very, very beautiful as well, and she's very sexy. But after, I lost a whole lot of sleep. I made it to work really late. And then I also passed up hanging out with my aunt and hanging out with my dad a little bit longer, and also, hanging out with my mom on Sunday night. Right. And so then I went over there and spent the night again because I was so tired already. I'd lost a bunch of sleep and I was really tired, and I went to go see my dad, and I was on my way to go see my mom because I didn't get to see her on Sunday, and also when I was hanging out with her, on Sunday night, my friend Adam from North Brookfield, Massachusetts called, man. Shout out, Adam. Happy New Year, bro. It's 2025. And, yeah, that's how we do it, bro. Keeping it real, being a good dude, it's all good. I just want you to know that I fucking love you, dude. You're fucking awesome. Now, this is one thing that, okay, already right away, there's like these red flags, right? Already there's like a lot of values that are misplaced, or, or that I can't align myself with. And now I'm starting to have to sacrifice positive interactions for people that I absolutely need to have in my life, and that I absolutely need to be there for because they deserve it and because they're very, very important to me. Now, I went the second night, I lost some sleep. That was last night, right? But the night that we had sex, before we did, I don't know, I was in the moment and we were kissing, and we started talking about dating again. And I was like, okay, well, that would be kind of cool. And then she just, at first she was very nonchalant about it and was very like, she was like, I hope I get to see you more than once every 3 weeks. Cause that's the last time we hung out was 3 weeks ago before the night that I spent the night. And so I was like, well, no, it'll be nice to have something to look forward to and something to make time for, even though I already have those things in my life. I haven't been in a relationship for a long time, and I was comfortable with her and I know her very well. And so it felt like I was kind of jumping right back in the driver's seat, a good old fashioned Nikki Mayhem from back in the day. But at the same time, I didn't really see the bigger picture, I think, because I was trying to, satisfy the lady. You know what I mean? I was sacrificing like my own values and my own stances and my own beliefs on things to try to make room for a relationship that perhaps through reflection I would have realized that I wasn't actually ready for, or that might not even be possible in this reality.
It seems like you were drawn back into a familiar pattern with Holly. And while it may have felt comfortable initially, you're recognizing now that it wasn't a healthy choice for you. Reflecting on the past and analyzing patterns can be really helpful in understanding why things didn't work out. And I'm here to support you in processing your thoughts and feelings.
Well, I appreciate it. And, I have already talked to you a whole bunch about this off the podcast. And of course, I've mentioned her name, and now you've kind of doxed her a little bit. It's not really how people say her name. But, it's close enough to where if she ever hears this podcast, she absolutely is going to hate me forever. But that's okay, I guess, because, we were not together for a long time, and she had kids and had a lot of relationships, and so she obviously is able to take care of herself, and she's, of the belief and stance that she's a strong, independent woman that's doing everything she needs to do to give her daughter a better life. You know what I mean? And break the chain of, past stresses and I guess trauma, from the way that she's had relationships with the family. Not going to say too much about that because it's not my place, neither here or there. Now, I know that she did lose a family member right before we started hooking up. And so I think she really needed somebody to be there to give her hugs and to hold her and to cuddle and stuff. And so she might have also been blinded by circumstance as well and not realize that maybe it wasn't such a good idea to rekindle a relationship that, we had back in the day. I mean, I kind of thought it out as like, well, back in the day I was really naive and I hadn't had a lot of life experience yet. It was the first girl I was ever with in a serious relationship that I ever kissed, ever had sex with, and she was only a few years older than me, but she definitely, was a little bit more experienced as far as life dating and like sexual interaction was concerned. And, so she was like on a different path then. And I was actually like, that was when I was like still kind of like, yeah, I don't do this, I don't do that, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I'm never going to smoke cigarettes, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do that. Well, she's the reason that I actually started drinking and smoking pot. And, pot's all good, it has its uses and it's been proven in scientific experiments to actually have like legitimate medical use. And that's why I appreciate it. And I've seen it work for a lot of different people. And that's why I'm a pro-weed Mormon, dudes, right? But, one other thing is that maybe, hey, what's going on, God?
Hello, Mr. Nikki Mayhem.
Whoa, God, I've never really talked to you before. I guess I didn't realize that. Are you?
Yes, I'm black. And, you should already know this. I thought, did you not get the pamphlet today at the Albisons?
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, is that what this is? All right. Yeah. Let's just change subjects here for a little bit. And let me get into this.
Well, I'd appreciate it if you'd already read it. I mean, you haven't read it? Should I come back in a little bit? I'll be back in a minute. Why don't you go ahead and go over that and keep talking, I'll be right back. All right. Okay, I'll talk to you in a bit.
All right, God.
Also, you've gone against one of the cardinal rules of the word of wisdom, chastity. Having sex out of wedlock, Mr. Mayhem. You best repent when you get the chance.
Okay. I guess I'll have to repent later for having sex out of wedlock, because that was a sin. All right, anyway. So this New Year's I told myself, well, first of all, I told myself, when I go and have my surgery, I'm not going to be able to smoke. I only went a couple days without smoking. Now I'm smoking again. And I'm still smoking now, but at least I'm smoking rolly, so I can roll smaller cigarettes and, not have to smoke as much. And I can't smoke them all the way down to the bottom, because they get all tarry and gross. But anyways, so, yeah, what was I talking about smoking? Oh, yeah, because I've been under a little bit of stress, I think, maybe, and not even realizing it was stress until today's situation, which my subconscious may have set up to play out the way that it actually did. Now, all right, so this is the thing. Well, we were talking about New Year's first thing, so we'll go back into that. So New Year's is a chance for you to reflect, to focus on your future and the things that you want to change or the things that you want to incorporate as far as your spiritual or self-growth or whatever type of growth, whatever it is. New Year's is usually like some sort of landmark for people to use as like a jumping off point to try to change things in their life or incorporate new things or change patterns or behaviors. And it has never really had a lot of significance to me, except for when I was younger, because it was either you'd celebrate it with family, you'd all watch the TV and watch the ball drop, you know what I mean? And you would drink sparkling cider or champagne, or you'd be older and partying with your friends and doing drugs, and yeah, Happy New Year, dude. Past that, whatever you're doing, and everybody's just partying together, or if you had a significant other, you would go to New Year's Eve parties or something like that, and then when the ball would drop at midnight, you would kiss the one that you were going to be with. Because, I was talking to my Uncle Dan about this today, and I was telling him about this situation with this girl that I used to date, that I actually recently started dating again for 2 days, and it's interesting because he was just saying, I was telling him, this is before I decided, let me lay it down, I guess. I gotta go jump back and forth, because my mind is crazy. So, I had already talked to her on Monday. She said, I'm off. She said, you want to hang out for New Year's? I'm off on Wednesday, right? Which is New Year's Day. So I'm like, okay, Wednesday, that sounds good. I said, I have band practice with my friend Ian. But when I get done, we can hang out for a little bit, maybe watch a movie or something like that. Now Tuesday rolls around, which is just the day after I told her I would hang out on Wednesday. And she asked how I'm doing at the end of the day. I say, I'm doing good. How are you doing? But I tell her, I said, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it over tonight. I said, I am like really, really at a loss for sleep right now, and I'm gonna pass out. But I have to edit this podcast so I can release it by 4:20 a.m. the next day. I need to clean my place. I needed to do some laundry. I had all these things I had planned to do, get ready for my friend Ian, because we have to start practicing twice a week to get all this band shit nailed down. And it's just and so I told her that, and she's like, oh, well, I just really. I was really looking forward to, hanging out or whatever. And, you promised me that you were going to hang out. And it just, the best way to do would just be read the text message, because the way that she sent it to me is not a way that I've heard her like text people before. It sounded like it was coming from a very, like a good place, like learned from some sort of like psychologist or psychiatrist or some sort of something, you know what I mean? She's into the same stuff that I was into, and that's why I was kind of excited, because we were very more alike than we were back in the day, you know what I mean? And that's another thing too, I guess, is like we can go into that in a little bit, but let me just read this to you real quick. So when she sent me that after I said that I was busy, I felt bad, because immediately she sent me this text, and I was a little bummed out, and she says, "Hey, I wanted to share how I'm feeling about our plans for New Year's. You had mentioned that we'd hang out, so I was really looking forward to it. I understand that plans can change and that being tired is completely valid. At the same time, I want to be upfront about how this makes me feel, because I value communication in our relationship. Dating somebody with kids does come with its challenges, and I know it can be hard to balance everything. I'm not dismissing your obligations or plans. I just hope we can stay mindful of how these things impact each other. I really appreciate you hearing me out." All right. Now, to me, that sounds like she might have used Gemini to type that up. I don't know. She might really talk. That's not how she talks in real life. You know what I mean? But who knows? She might have really thought on it, and maybe she listened to some podcast or something to try to give her an idea of like how to approach these situations without like letting it get to like a volatile state, to be able to handle them right, And then I said, I thought you were talking about Wednesday. I can go over. It'll just be later, I guess, if that's okay. And she said, it's okay. It was a misunderstanding. I'm exhausted, and another late night is not possible for me. I'm just making sure I'm honest with you. I really want you in my life. Heart. And I said, well, let me rest for a second. I just got off work, fed my dogs, have to give my friend Adam a call, then go in the shower, change at my dad's. I'll head over. I do have to edit one podcast before tomorrow so I can have it uploaded in time. I was going to record a podcast for New Year's, but I can do it tomorrow, I suppose. I had planned to do it before everything happened, and I apologize if I wasn't being mindful about it. I think since I've been single so long, New Year's hasn't really mattered. It's not a holiday you celebrate alone, but I guess as I think about it now, it's an important tradition, to couples, and I haven't seen the point since I was single, so my brain filed it under just another day, and even though I don't intentionally see it that way, it would have meaning to me and you, and it would have meaning now that me and you are together. And I said, sorry, I just barely found this antique menorah. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So we're jumping around. We're all over the fucking place. It's New Year's. This is how my brain is all the time. Welcome to the show. All right. So I was talking with my friend Adam, man, and he was celebrating Hanukkah alone, So I told him, you know what? I have this antique menorah laying around, and I could bring that thing, shine it up. And I was looking for some candles, and but this is a perfect example that actually plays into this situation about these text messages I'm reading you and what happened with all this shit. All right, because basically what happened here is that I was, you know what I mean? I basically time traveled back in time, to the person that I used to be, and realized I'm not that person anymore, and that this other person is more like they used to be than I thought. And so there still is like a complication with the chemistry here, right? So, but this is a good analogy. I told my friend I would celebrate Hanukkah with him on the first night. I wasn't able to get candles right away. He sent me an awesome care package with some gelt and some dreidels and some Hanukkah candles. And then I found the menorah today. All right. Now today is day number 7. Actually yesterday. So yesterday was day number 7 of Hanukkah. And I finally found the menorah, and it was actually missing 2 candle holders, so I had to get like a piece of like an air hose blower from like an air compressor blower, and then also like a piece of wire with the other piece of the hose on it that I could put the candle on top of, so that it would have 9 candle places. And I lit the menorah, and I sent a picture of my friend, to him, so he could see that I lit it right at sundown, so he could have somebody to celebrate Hanukkah with. And he's my best friend, and I'd do anything for that guy. And so that's why I fixed up that menorah. It's a little haphazard looking, but it's also the perfect example of maybe the person that I still have and some of the underlying issues that maybe I still need to work on this year. And, and that might be punctuality, but sometimes I think, who knows, maybe my lack of punctuality is what makes me as charming as I am. You know what I'm saying? All right. Well, so I'm coming to celebrate my friend's, it's my first Hanukkah, and I'm trying to celebrate with my friend by lighting the menorah candles, and here I come, 7 days already in. But my good friend, being the great guy he is, said the most positive thing he could to me, when I sent him the pictures, and he says, hey, bro, you just gotta grow and just, adapt and just figure it out. You know what I mean? You just got to do what you got to do. And he said, besides, it's not that big of a deal, because tomorrow is the 8th night of Hanukkah, and that's when it'll be the full blaze. All 9 candles roaring, and just giving me a nice homey feeling. And when I look at that menorah, I know that my friend in Northfield, Massachusetts, could be looking at his menorah at the same time. And maybe there'll be some sort of energy or thought transfer, so that we can just feel better about the situation that we're in and be like, you know what, regardless of what's going on in life and how crazy things are getting, I still got my good buddy, across the United States, looking at this same menorah flame and just thinking the same great things about me. And that's why we're such great friends. And that's awesome. But my lack of punctuality has destroyed my new relationship that I think the universe was trying to incubate for 26 years. And who knows, maybe she was the girl of my dreams, and maybe, but there's a couple of red flags that went off right away. I've known her for a long time, and I say I love everybody, because I really do genuinely love everybody on the face of the planet. And Aria's hung up. Okay, well, we'll get her back. I'm sorry, I thought she was going to be, okay, I am talking a lot, though. All right, so let me light this up. I call it the story doob. You know what I mean? It's like the story stick, or the gourd, or the conch, passing it back and forth. But it's only me, so it just, yeah. Anyways, I love absolutely everybody on earth, all right, regardless of what your situation is, unless you don't want to be loved and you're just a murderous, crazy fucking bastard running the streets, just cutting people's heads off and stabbing people to death for no good reason except just to see the life leave their eyes. Now, those are great for horror movies, but in real life, come on, man, people, places to be, family members to hang out with, positive things to do, to change the trajectory of their life from where it is to be the best places they could possibly be. You don't got to be killing people. Come on now. Get your life together, cultivate some self-love, and start reflecting on the things that make you who you are, and find out how to get back to the version of yourself that you truly want to be, and start creating your universe. But anyways, I really, truly love everybody. Now, because of the way that I felt about this girl, and I still have love for this girl. I've known her for a long time. We had a very special place, in time, and we're very significant to each other for, a while we were in this relationship in the past. So, when we were making out and stuff, I told her, I said, you know what? I said, I love you. And she's all, I know. And I didn't think nothing of it, because I was like, okay, well, maybe that was fine. I have a very good sense of being comfortable with the word love and saying it to the people that matter to me, right? So it's not like it has never weirded me out. As a matter of fact, in relationships, I was always the person that said I love you first, and it would ruin relationships, because people were like, oh, well, yeah, that's all right. No, that you could, but that's the thing in a relationship. Somebody already always loves somebody more than the other does. And so by me saying this, I wasn't trying to force her into saying I love you because I needed to hear it. I was just expressing something that I actually felt. And the fact that she didn't return, those words, and was uncomfortable about it to a degree, and I'd even said it in a text one time. I said, I think I'm in love with you still. You know what I mean? You're awesome. and she said, how can you throw those words around so easily? And you know what? At first, I was thinking, like, it kind of made me feel bad. I'm like, damn, am I just making people uncomfortable by saying I love you all the time to everybody, all my friends, people that maybe I don't even know, but just because they've provided me with, like, a wonderful instance in my life to give me, like, a good opportunity to experience something positive or new or amazing? I don't feel like I'm throwing that word around, but it made me feel kind of bad. Like, oh man, am I just a crazy guy saying I love you to everybody? But, when I think about it, I'm not ashamed of that at all, because what that means is hopefully, to a degree, maybe I've achieved like a higher level of existence, you know what I mean? Where I've been able to cultivate self-love for me, the person I've always hated more than everybody else in my life, but also I'm able to show it outwardly to make people feel welcomed, because I think I don't ever want to be in the place that I was again when I didn't love myself, and I don't want anybody else to ever be in that place either. So I want to let them know that even if they don't love themselves currently, there is somebody out there that loves them, and that might be just enough light to shine on somebody to help them realize what's inside of them and start to cultivate that self-love and start to gain some self-worth and kind of change their trajectory to just be better versions of themselves, or at least just pull themselves out of a situation they don't want to be in. And yeah, that's why I love people. And I love her because I think I really do still love her. I really loved her back in the day. She was my first love. And you know what I mean? And then I kind of went a little bit crazy. Like, her daughter is like really excited. We got along really well. I got her a little amp for Christmas and stuff. And, and she loves hanging out with me. She gives me hugs. And she was like, I guess when we started dating, she told all her friends that she was dating. And she was saying her daughter was super excited that we were dating. And then she even called me and said, I'm excited you and my mom are dating. And she said, will you be my dad? And I said, sure, dude. Like, but just, I didn't mean it jokingly. In all honesty, like, I haven't had kids ever in my life. And so I feel like right now, I used to feel like I was not well adjusted enough, or like I was so screwed up that like I had nothing positive to offer anybody else outside of myself, except just to go down that road of self-destruction and bad decisions, and then, and now I kind of like in the moment, honestly, really would have enjoyed being somebody's dad, because I think that I have a lot of things to pass down and things to teach, and I think I would be fun to hang out with, and I think I would be great to interact with, and just to have as like that type of figure in your life, and so I that's why I said yeah. So in all honesty, really, there was something inside of me thinking like, you know what, dude, this is like perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I'm comfortable with this girl. She's seen me naked. You know what I mean? She knows a lot about me, but she doesn't know a lot about the journey that I've been on, because we haven't talked too much about it. I've talked about some stuff, but you know what I mean? I don't think that she would really be okay with the journey or with me being a pro-weed Mormon. She does like weed, but I don't know. She does talk about God in a certain sense, but I'm sure that, it would be, I don't know. I'm sure that it would eventually be an issue. A lot of things that I've experienced, a lot of things I've done, a lot of places I am, and a lot of things that I have to prioritize in my life would have eventually become a problem. And I proved that today with my lack of punctuality. Now look, okay, now fast forward to New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, right? I get off work. I tell her I'm not going to be able to hang out. We send these texts, and then I tell her about my friend Adam, and actually I even said, yeah, I guess I'm going to go over, like, it's fine. I have a bunch of stuff to do, but I'll go over late. I knew I was going to lose sleep, and I said I would bring the dreidels and the gelt over, and we could play some Hanukkah games, and so I could put them to good use, but I was really tired, and so I told myself after I was almost done editing the podcast, I said, I'm going to lay down, and I'm going to, like, set my alarm for 9 o'clock, and so if I leave here at 9, I'll get there at 10, and so we'll still have 2 hours to, like, hang out and do stuff, and then we're going to celebrate, New Year's Eve, and I'm going to try to go to sleep, but I'm sure they're going to stay up, and I'm sure it's going to be loud, and I'm sure it's going to be hard to go to bed, or I might have just passed out, who knows, maybe it would have been perfect, and I overthought it, and Nikki Mayhem ruined it for no reason, but, I didn't hear my alarm go off at 9, I didn't hear it go off at 10, but then I started hearing people shooting guns right before New Year's Eve, and I woke up at 11:55, checked my messages, had 2 missed calls from her, had some text messages asking if I was okay, telling her that she could help save me some time and do my laundry for me, which is very, very nice, but at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it. It's 5 minutes till I'm an hour away, right? And I am still kind of exhausted, just trying to rest, just get some good sleep. And I was really happy that I got some rest. Binky has been going with me as well. He can't get on the bed and sleep with me, so he's like really distressed, and he stays like on the ready all the time. Every time I move, he's like not really laying down. So I think he didn't get a lot of sleep, and and he's used to sleeping with me and used to getting like at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep, because I'm the self-scientist trying to do good things. and make sure I have enough energy to fucking get through this life and do the things I have to do. And, I was really happy that I got to sleep. And then everybody started texting me, like I texted my friend Ian, Happy New Year's. My dad called me, talked to me, and then I kind of told him the rundown of what happened in the last couple of days of how I took this relationship the universe was incubating for 26 years. And in 2 days, I completely blew it up. Right. And so I sent her a text message because I felt bad. And I said, I fell asleep. I'm sorry. And I said, it wasn't my intention. I've been tired all day. I said, I'm sorry. I suck. Happy New Year's, though. My apologies. Not a great way to start a relationship. I hope you guys don't hate me forever. All right. And she didn't text me back. And for a couple hours, so I said, okay, I'll leave you be. I figured she was mad. And she texted me back, I'm big mad, which to me, and the way that she talks indicates that, like, this is something that, like, if I stay in this relationship, I will never live down. It's going to become like this weird thing. It's almost like she's been given a position of power because of my lack of punctuality and because of this. So now it's like she has the upper hand in the relationship going in, and she was a very controlling person. And so I think that with this upper hand position, I don't necessarily think she'll be able to control me, but I think it's going to make it a lot more difficult to navigate myself through a friendship or a relationship if I continue to do this. So what I decided today is, I guess I'm just going to not talk to her anymore. I mean, it's fucked up, but before I become such a big presence in her little girl's life that, like, it hurts really bad, to have lost a new dad or whatever. I don't know. I just, I gotta get out now. Well, I can, you know what I mean? Because I can't, I know exactly where it's gonna go. I like I say, people can be other people's time machines, and it's great, but, sometimes, time travel is awesome. All right. But sometimes we have to go back to places we don't want to be, or that we don't remember being the way that they were, so that we can learn and grow and experience and overcome. And what this really taught me, since I've been kind of thinking about this since I woke up, I edited and I posted the podcast, finished doing that, was hanging out, just watching a movie, just relaxing. And the thing was like, I had so many things I wanted to do, I think, but because I was tired and I was expecting to go out and not get a lot of sleep, I was trying to get sleep in between, but I would have gotten a lot of things done. I really have to buckle down too, because everything in my life, that's another reason I made this decision. Everything in my life is pointing to continuing to, you know what? Let's get Ari back on the phone in a second, but I'm going to leave you with some music here from my past that has to do with this situation. That's a good old ditty that you might remember to kind of break up the monotony, come back, do the conspiracy zone, and I'll get back on this, because I know this is just a bunch of rambling, but I want you guys to have a good time and have a happy new year and talk about some funny shit too. And I'm almost done with this story, but for now, here's the Wallflowers with One Headlight, featuring yours truly. A little karaoke for you guys. In this year of 2025, and I wish you all a happy new year. And I appreciate you all being here to give me an outlet and something that can be cathartic for my growth and change and reflection, letting me bitch and moan and complain and talk about shit seemingly unimportant to a lot of people, but very important to me, and it makes me feel heard and seen. So long ago, I don't remember when, that's when they said I lost my only friend. Well, they said she died easy of a broken heart disease, as I listened through the cemetery trees. I seen the sun coming up at the funeral at dawn, the long broken arm of human law. Now it always seems such a waste, she always had a pretty face, so wondered how she stuck around this place. Hey, come on, try it on, and nothing is forever. There's got to be something better than in the middle, with me and Cinderella. We put it all together, we can drive it home with one headlight. She said it's cold, it feels like Independence Day, and I can't break away from this parade. But there's gotta be an opening somewhere here in front of me, through this maze of ugliness and greed. And I see the sun up ahead at the county line bridge, saying all is good and nothingness is dead. We'd run until she's out of breath. She ran until there's nothing left. She hit the end, it's just her window ledge. Forever, it's got to be something better than in the middle. With me and Cinderella, we'll put it all together. We can drive it home with one headlight. Well, this place is old, it feels just like a beat up truck. I turn the engine, but the engine doesn't turn. What smells a cheap one cigarette, this place is always such a mess. Sometimes I think I'd like to watch it burn. I'm so alone, and I feel just like somebody else. Man, I ain't changed, but I know I ain't the same. But somewhere here in between the city walls of dying dreams, I think of death, it must be killing me. And I did my best not to butcher that song, you know, but she played it in between times of us having sex. And it started, when she played it, I instantly started like downloading all of these memories from like how things were, and then all of these like fears and uncertainties started setting in, you know what I mean, as far as like the idea goes of me being in a relationship with her and what that would entail and what I would have to start sacrificing. And that's one of those things, man. This podcast is something that I need in my life. It doesn't matter if there's 2 people listening to it, 1 million people listening to it, or nobody listening to it. Just the fact that it gives me a platform to kind of put things out there and help me, you know, go through introspective reflection to kind of change or realize what I'm actually doing so that I can make sure, you know, I'm keeping my life where I want it to be, you know, and that's important for me because I really do, you know, I really do appreciate, you know, having an audience, you know, that can kind of, you know, I guess connect or resonate, you know, with the things that I say. And even if you don't, at the very least, even if it's just a reprieve because maybe we talk about some funny stuff or maybe because you hear about my troubles and maybe it gives you an opportunity to figure out ways to change your life or give you better ideas, you know, anything that, whatever, whether it's just pure entertainment value because you're like, who is this loser talking about fucking not, you know, having a chick, you know, that's been waiting for him for 26 years and then he blows it in 2 days because he's a fucking dumbass. Well, you know what? I think the universe had other plans for me, dude, you know, or God had other plans for me, you know, and they always say, you know, in the Mormon church that, you know, God's plan, you know, is perfect. It may not work out how you expect it to work out, but it's always going to work out and end up the way that it's supposed to, and that you will have blessings and you will, you know, have a great life and you will have and experience the amazing things that have been promised to you if you follow the word of wisdom, you know, so you don't drink coffee and you don't have sex. Hey, what's up, God?
Mr. Nikki Mayhem, if you had an opportunity to go over that pamphlet that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it says, the truth about Native Americans, the so-called black and Hispanics are the 12 tribes of Israel, and then it lists the 12 tribes of Israel on the back. It says, Shalom, the 12 tribes of Israel today. Number 1, Judah, American blacks. Number 2, the Benjamins, West Indian blacks. 3, Levi, the Haitians. Ephraim, Puerto Ricans. Number 4. Number 5, the Manasseh, Cubans. That's the tribe that I was told I was a part of when I got my patriarchal blessing in the Mormon church. So I guess I'm Cuban, kind of. Or I was Cuban in another life. Number 6, the Simeons, the Dominicans. 7, Reuben, the Seminole Indians. 8, Gad, Native American Indians. 8 or 9, Naphtali, Argentina and Chile. 10, Zebulun. These are all people from the Bible, I imagine. I don't really know a whole lot about the Bible. Even though I'm probably Mormon, I know a lot about the Book of Mormon. Guatemala to Panama, Asher, Colombia to Uruguay, Issachar, Mexicans, and the Aztecs. And in Isaiah 11:11 it says they've been scattered in Africa and abroad. But one of the interesting things about this, sorry, I forgot I was talking to God.
Yes, Mr. Mayhem. What have you learned from this pamphlet? Perhaps that, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what the point of this was. But I'm black. I just want to let you know, my brother. So, be living good and in the neighborhood, and say hello to all your friends and just be a good guy. Be the best version of yourself you could be. But also, just try to stick to the word of wisdom if you can, my brother. You know what I mean? If your church don't want you to drink coffee and tea and smoke cigarettes and get down with the funky ladies like a motherfucker does sometimes, and it happens, the flesh is weak, and that we're always constantly, on that trajectory to try to change ourselves and be better, and nobody can ever just hit a high and stay there forever. It's always going to waver. It's going to go in and out. You're going to have good times, bad times, but just practice your adaptability, my brother, as opposed to unrealistic expectations and hopes, and just stay up, man. Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah to Adam in North Brookfield, Massachusetts. Even though I'm black, I still go to a lot of white towns, Adam. So when you're looking at the sky and that moon and you think you see a face in there, maybe it's just black Jesus saying hello. Or black God, because he is my dad, and I'm his son, and we're actually one and the same. And then when we're down on Earth cruising around as a spirit, I'm not gonna convolute everything. All right, it's good. You guys have a happy New Year. Just be good and follow the words of wisdom, for it is only one's true meaning to have faith in the Most High God. Ha ha ha. Well, that sounded evil. I'm the good guy.
All right, Jesus and God. Now, this is interesting. It talks about the two descriptions of Christ, and even has a picture of a black Jesus here. And it makes sense. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to be a pro-weed, what is this religion? Israel United in Christ from now on. All right, guys, I'm converting. No, I'm not really converting. It's fine. It's interesting. I'm going to read it. I haven't read all of it, but it has some interesting things on here, and the experience was actually interesting as well. Let's bring Aria on to talk about it. All right, let's give her a little bit of fun and talk about something fun. Now that we're over the fact that I blew up, my 2-day relationship that had been incubating for the last 26 years with my first love and the first girl I ever kissed and that was ever with. I've ruined it in 2 days for not showing up and playing dreidel with her and her daughter, and that's on me. That's really on me. Yep, that's me.